Six-time NBA All-Star DeMar DeRozan has agreed to join the Denver Nuggets on a one-year, $3.9 million veteran minimum contract. The veteran forward chose Denver over other interested suitors, including the Miami Heat, the Washington Wizards, and the New Orleans Pelicans, to pursue a championship alongside Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. This signing follows a strong recruitment effort from Denver's core players and addresses a critical need for shot creation and depth. Now, this addition for DeRozan comes right after they traded Peyton Watson to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a multi-team trade that involved 5 teams. DeRozan became a free agent after being waived by the Sacramento Kings in July. Immediately plugs the void that Peyton Watson left for the Denver Nuggets in the wing depth chart. So, as you guys know, we talked about Peyton Watson on Friday, and just like I said in that video, and I'm going to put the clip right here so you guys can go back and watch that clip. But as I said on Friday, if the Nuggets wanted any chance to try to fill that void of Peyton Watson, no, you were not going to get another Peyton Watson. You know, at least in my opinion, you're not going to get another Peyton Watson, at least not that quick. It's how they traded him that quick. You're not going to find another guy that can do what Peyton Watson can do that quickly. It wasn't going to happen. But if there was any chance for this season to be salvaged from a standpoint of actually getting a quality player in there that could fill a void, I said, do whatever you had to do. Whatever, hey, if you got to go over the tax, go over the tax. Do whatever you got to do and go get DeMar DeRozan. Here's a clip right here from Friday. All of their hopes and all of their dreams as far as being a championship contender, it's going to have to hinge on one thing, and that is, it's going to have to hinge on them going to get DeMar DeRozan. It's going to have to hinge on them going to get DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is going to have to be the guy for Denver to go get it done. I don't care what Denver got to pay for him. I don't care if you got to go over the tax, whatever. It's worth it. If you want to talk about winning a championship this year, Denver, I'm telling you. I know he's older, but I'm telling you, your best chance of that is go ahead and go over the tax if you got to. Just do what you got to do. Go get DeMar DeRozan. So what the Nuggets will use DeRozan as is they'll view him as a accomplished high-volume scorer who will pilot the team's second unit and prevent severe bench scoring droughts. So they'll use him as pretty much a microwave, if you guys want to break it down and simplify things. And basically what a microwave is he's a player that can easily score. He can easily get to his spots on the court. He can easily, bring you offense, score high points, and quick, fast, in a hurry. Like he don't need plays, he don't need sets, he don't need like a whole blueprint for him to score and get points. He just can get buckets. He's a scorer. He knows how to do his thing. He knows how to just score the basketball at a high level and at a great level to the point where your starters don't have to worry about if they get a lead in the game and they go get a rest, they go get a breather really quick. They don't have to worry about coming back in the game, pause. They don't have to worry about the game being tied even though they left the game with a 10-point lead. They don't got to worry about that because with a DeMar DeRozan there, if the starters go out of the game with a 10-point lead, at the very minimum, at the very least, I would expect the Nuggets to, if the lead does drop, I expect the lead to be like 5. If they do drop any, okay, the lead is cut down from 10 to 5, but they're still leading, so the starters can step back in and run the score back up and keep the game flowing how it's supposed to go. If you didn't have that DeRozan there, you probably would be in a situation to where, okay, the starters go out, you're leading 10, and then when the starters go back in the game, you're either tied or you're leading by 1 or you're leading or trailing by 3, or it'd be a situation like that. So you need a DeMar DeRozan to fill that role, fill that void of a microwave that can get hot quick, get hot instantly, pause, and just can score buckets when you need them, especially when the starters need to get a breather, so you're not so you're not overworking Jokic, so you're not overworking Jamal Murray, and they're great players, don't get me wrong, they're great players. Aaron Gordon, great player. The Nuggets are still, there's this notion that the Nuggets aren't still like a very competitive team. Like, the Nuggets have a lot of talent, but and they have a lot of, mix of veterans, and they got some young guys in there, but they have I feel like their entire group, as far as a whole, as the team is concerned, I feel like they have a lot of talent. However, they're great talent and stuff like that. Aaron Gordon, excuse me, Jamal Murray, all these players, Jokic, Cameron Johnson, all these players. But you don't want to overwork them, Pauls, to the point to where when it is time for you to really need them in clutch moments, they have nothing left. You don't want to get them to that point. So that's where DeRozan is going to come into play, and he's going to really help in those moments. And what I feel like they'll do is I don't feel like they'll start DeRozan, and like I just read to you guys, they don't plan on starting him anyway. So they're not going to start DeRozan, when the game starts and when, it's tip-off pause. When the game starts and it's time to go, they're not going to start DeRozan, okay? However, in clutch situations, just hear me out real quick. In clutch situations, I feel like they will turn to DeRozan in those moments. And here's what I mean by that. Are they going to rely on him to take the last shot? No, of course not. The first option to take a last shot for the Nuggets should, number one, be Jokic. Number two, be Murray. That should be the two options. Number one, Jokic. Number two, Murray. And neither one of them you can really go wrong. The third option would probably be, you could probably say Aaron Gordon, but now that you have DeRozan, I could argue, I know Gordon's been there longer. I know he has that veteran presence because he's been, like I said, he won a championship with them. He's been on the team longer. However, I personally think now, with them having DeRozan, I think after Jokic and Murray, I can argue that the third option in that mix probably should, at least as far as getting a look or having consideration, probably could be DeRozan. And here's how, if I could now obviously I'm no coach, okay? I don't coach for the Nuggets. I don't know the Nuggets coach at all. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. But, and just, throwing my expertise from the outside looking in, right? If I could do it as far as a clutch lineup, just a complete clutch lineup, we need to win the game. We're down by 3. The Nuggets got to win the game. They got to make something happen. If that's the case, the lineup I would go with would be Jamal Murray, DeMar DeRozan at the 2, or you can go switch it up, DeMar DeRozan and Cameron Johnson, however you want to do it. But I'd go Jamal Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Cameron Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and then Jokic at the 5. That's how I would do it. Me personally. It'll be them 5 closing out the game. Once again, if y'all want that one more time, pause. It'll be Jamal Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Cameron Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. As far as the clutch lineup, we got to win this game. We got to bring it home, pause. That'll be the clutch lineup. Because everyone in that lineup pretty much, you could say maybe Cam, maybe not Cam really, but everybody else in that lineup has experience making clutch shots. And I don't doubt that Cam could make a clutch shot when they need him to. So everyone in that lineup has experience making clutch shots. They've experienced being in close games. They experienced being in high pressure moments. They've been to the point of, okay, like we got to have this moment. We got to have this shot. We got to have this, this offense right here. We got to score right here so we can get back on defense and try to get a rebound and score again. Like, they've all been in those high pressure situations and high pressure moments when they absolutely needed to make something happen. So that's the lineup I would go with, and the experience factor I feel like would be heavy in that lineup. And I feel like everyone in that lineup can make you a clutch shot when you have to have it. And I feel like they can draw, the main point is they can draw attention away from the 2 guys, remember, that I said should be taking the clutch shots, because it should be Jokic, number one. Murray, number two. However, everyone else in that starting lineup, I feel like you can't just be like, they ain't gonna do nothing. You can't do that with nobody else in that clutch lineup. You can't, cause you can't fade DeRozan because he can knock down that mid range shot with ease. He's a mid range freaking monster. Like, if y'all don't know about DeMar DeRozan in the mid range, he's a mid range assassin. Okay, like his mid range is elite. I'm talking about elite of elite. So look, you leave DeMar DeRozan and you try to fade him like, he ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, yeah, we gonna get that mid range cash, and then don't be fooled now. I say he's a mid range, beast and everything like that, but people forget he can make 3-point shots as well. He just doesn't shoot them a lot of times. Pause. But his preference is mid range. Shooting the midi. Getting to the mid range, pulling up. That's where he's comfortable at. That's where his home is. But if he needs to, he has no problem shooting a clutch three or shooting a 3-point shot when you need it. So you can't ignore DeRozan. Then you say, we're gonna keep an eye on DeRozan. You can't say what you want, but you can't really sag off on Aaron Gordon, because Aaron Gordon once again can make them clutch threes and can make them threes just like like them dagger type threes. Aaron Gordon can make those, and he has made those before. Like them dagger type threes, be like, dang, we shouldn't have left him open. So he make them threes a lot. So you can't sag off of him. And then Cameron Johnson, I don't think, you watch Aaron Gordon, you watch DeRozan, you sag off of Cam and leave him wide open. I'm not taking that bet in your favor, because these are NBA players we're talking about. Say what you want about Cameron Johnson as far as the experience factor, but he played in a playoff environment before, so it's not like he's not experienced in it. And he's an NBA player that is nice, in my opinion, from the 3-point line. And if you leave him open and just try to sag off of him, I feel like he can knock down a clutch shot. Like, if you just be like, he ain't gonna make nothing. We just gonna focus on you leave him wide open, pause, and you'll probably pay for that, in my personal opinion. So you're really taking a chance sagging off of anyone in that starting lineup outside of the two clutch players in that starting lineup. So that's why I don't feel like you'll be in good favor leaving anyone in that starting lineup, available to make a shot. Now, over his career, actually, we'll go last season first. Last season, DeMar DeRozan averaged in 31 minutes per game, averaged 18.4 points, 2 rebounds per game, and 4 assists with 1 steal a game as well. Now, over his career, he is 34 minutes per game, 21 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 4 assists a game, and 1 steal a game as well. So as far as the average, the assists and steals are concerned, he's pretty much hasn't had any, I guess you'd say, improvement or downfall in that area. And DeMar DeRozan is pretty reliable as far as just being like a reliable player that you can rely on. He once again played in 77 games last year. Games played 77 and games started 77. So it's going to be very interesting. And then over his career, he's played in 1,264 games. He started in 1,252 games. So it's going to be a little shift for him being, off the bench. Excuse me. It's going to be a little shift for him coming off the bench this time and not really having a chance to, start off the game and get into a rhythm early. But like I said, DeMar DeRozan is a microwave he's a microwave as a starter. So I feel like he'll have no problem being able to flip that switch and turn it on, pause, coming off the bench. I feel like he'll have no problem with that. And the best part is he averaged 18 points per game last year against starters, right? So just stay with me real quick. 18 points per game, y'all already know where I'm going with this. 18 points per game as a starter last year, right? He's going against, and I mean this with the utmost respect, but he's going against no offense, but he's going against second tier players. Let's be real. Second tier players that, no offense, they're in the NBA, so they're great. They're great. They're talented. They'll dominate anybody at the YMCA. They're NBA players. They're great. They're wonderful. all that. Like they made it to the NBA, they achieved their dream. But we all know it's levels, okay? It is levels to being a player, right? He gonna be going against second tier players, and he's usually normally going against, top tier players. So him going against second tier off the bench players, no offense to them, and I'm not saying it's gonna be a cakewalk, but he gonna be like, okay, he's used to going against all-stars. He's used to going against, players that be on the all-star team, players that, that are very elite or looked at as being elite players. So when he go from that to playing against bench players, it ain't going to be a cakewalk because, like I said, it is NBA players. But let's be real. It's a downgrade from what he's been going against as far as on a game-to-game basis. So I feel like he's going to really take off from a scoring perspective because he's going to have a chance to just really just play his game and be able to play his game at a more, I feel like, at a more level pressure, even keel space. And here's what I mean by that. Going back to the starting point, when you're going against the starters, you got to be on all the time, pause. You got to, have that elite drive. You can't take a break. You can't really take a breather. You got to be, you're a starter, so you got to make sure that you're fueling your team's offense, that you're fueling your team, like your team's energy. You got to make sure that you're that guy, especially if you're like a DeMar DeRozan to where you're really the only star on the team, like as far as name wise, you're really the only star on the team other than they did have Russell Westbrook, and happy retirement to Russ, but the only star that was still like able to put up those kind of high level numbers, DeRozan was pretty much the only one that was looked at in that regard. So he kind of had to play up to a level. Now he can just relax, he can chill, he can like just play like he playing in the Drew League. Like he can just relax, play his game, ain't no pressure. He ain't no starter, so he ain't got to worry about if he start off the game wrong, then the rest of the team go. No, he coming off the bench. So the starters do their thing. He have a chance to come in the game. He play his game. Boom. He allow the starters to keep their flow going. He don't have no pressure to really be carrying the team, if you will. Now, I'm sure in some games where the starters will start off a little slow, because that's going to happen, he'll probably be looked at as far as, all right, DeMar, we're going to need you to kind of, pick us up a little bit because we're struggling on our offense this game. We're going to need you to kind of give us that boost. But I'm pretty sure he's prepared for that. Like, he knows what he's going to the Nuggets to do. He's going there to be that, like I said, that microwave scorer, that guy that can, quick points when you need it, give you offense when you need it, like on demand almost. Like, you got that on demand streaming. Like that on-demand offense. Soon as you need it, DeMar brings the offense. So I'm pretty sure he's preparing or has already prepared mentally for what his role will be. So he'll probably in some games have to be like that driving force. Like if Jokic don't have it going, if Murray don't have it going, all right, DeMar, like look, all right, we need you to go ahead and give us that spark now because our offense ain't flowing how we normally be flowing. So we need you to kind of give us that spark. So in some games, he's probably going to be asked to do that, but it's not going to be anything that DeMar isn't used to. So I feel like they did a great thing going to get DeMar DeRozan. Now, he's no Peyton Watson, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that he is going to replace Peyton Watson, because what Peyton Watson did and what DeMar DeRozan is being brought there to do is two different things. Peyton Watson is a hybrid defensive phenom, young player that I don't even feel like is scratching the surface of the player that he could potentially be in the future. He's a younger player and he has so much potential, and I feel like the Cavaliers are going to be absolutely balling with Peyton Watson in their system, and he can just have room furthermore to develop in another system and on a team that kind of fits him more in a way, because he played on a veteran team with the Nuggets, but now he's on a team where the team is kind of younger, but the younger players have more of a established role in Cleveland. So I feel like he's going to flourish in Cleveland. But what DeMar is being brought to the Nuggets to do is nothing compared to what Peyton Watson was doing. DeMar DeRozan is being brought there to be an offensive spark, a microwave scorer. Peyton Watson was, once again, a hybrid defensive player that can score in moments that when you need him to. What DeMar is being brought there for and what Peyton Watson was doing there is two different things. So I don't want people to think I'm comparing the two. So what the plan was for both of them is going to be completely different. And either way, like I said, they weren't going to replace Peyton Watson this season anyway. It's going to take maybe next year in the draft, maybe potentially, if they find someone in the draft, or maybe in free agency, maybe potentially, we'll see. Maybe they might find a Peyton Watson replacement next year, or in the draft, or in free agency, maybe. But they're not going to find a Peyton Watson replacement as far as right now, instantly. That was never going to happen. They traded Peyton Watson, or, signed and traded Peyton Watson because they didn't have the money to pay him. They didn't want to go over the tax, and have to face those penalties. And they're already in a situation to where they're trying to trade Zeke to try to attach some draft capital to him to try to get him off their books so they can be back under the tax. So they're still trying to trade him, Zeke Naji, who's a center. They're trying to trade him somewhere with some draft capital so they can clear out some space and be under the tax. And it's a lot going on in Denver, but I give them props for them still being able and committed enough to try to build a contending team that can talk about winning a championship and be in those championship conversations that I think they are in now, because they do have a team that I feel like can potentially, if everything goes right and if they get some luck to go in their way, if they get the right matchup, I feel like it's not out of the question that they can go win a championship. So I give them props for still being committed enough to go get the pieces that I feel like are necessary for you to go win in this league. I give them props for that. But as far as finding another Peyton Watson, that one never gonna happen, in my opinion, this season. Like, that's done. You trade Peyton Watson, like I said, maybe next year in the draft, or if they find a gem in free agency next year, we'll see. But they're not gonna find a Peyton Watson, a hybrid defender that can defend how he can defend and have the potential that he has. It's going, like I said, maybe next year, maybe. But they needed a guy that they could bring in to Denver that can fill a role or fill a void that Peyton Watson left as far as being a player. But what that player was going to, it didn't even have to be DeMar DeRozan, but whoever they bought in there, and it was going to be a veteran more than likely, whoever they bought in there was going to have to fill a role that was going to be different than what Peyton Watson provided. Either he was going to be a niche defender who, like, okay, we know he can defend wings. Okay, so we're going to put him on all the wings in the league. So we know he can defend small forwards, or we know he can defend power forwards. We know he can defend that. Or either it was going to be a kind of DeMar DeRozan situation where we know we need a scorer. Let's go get a scorer. That's what he does. We're bringing him here to score and do this and fill this role. You weren't going to get a Peyton Watson hybrid defender that has this potential and has this, potential to be one of your franchise cornerstones going forward. That wasn't going to happen. So they did the best thing, in my opinion, possible going to get DeMar DeRozan, because now you're bringing in someone who can understand where the team is, because he's a veteran himself, so he knows where the team aspect is. And let's face it, the Nuggets are a win-now organization. They got Murray, they got Jokic, they got Aaron Gordon, they got Cameron Johnson at this point is a veteran. They got all these players. They're a win-now organization. They have Christian Braun. They got some younger players, but let's be real. They're a win-now organization. They're focused on what they can win as of right now. Not 5 years down the line and 10 years down. No, what can we win? What can we achieve right now? DeMar DeRozan can go into that system, go into that culture, and fit perfectly, because he's a veteran and he wants to win right now, along with the Nuggets wanting to win right now. So when he goes into that culture, he goes into that system, they're going to be on the same mind level as far as being, or same mental level, as far as having the same goal. Okay, what can we achieve right now? What can we do in this season? How can we get better right now? They're in the same mind space. So I feel like it's gonna be a great fit as far as mentally off the court, but also on the court. I feel like the chemistry is gonna be there, because DeMar DeRozan can really fit with any system if you just put him in the right situation for him to still be able to do him. And what the Nuggets have signed him to do, to be that microwave scorer and just lead the second unit, oh, bruh. DeMar DeRozan can do that in his sleep. Eyes closed, straight like this. He can lead offense in his sleep. Y'all seen what he be doing in the Drew League with ease. He be just playing, and y'all see what he be doing in the Drew League, and y'all see what he does just when he just getting his bag on the NBA court. So I feel like the role that they've signed him to do, he gonna fit effortlessly. So pause on that. Yeah, but great signing for the Nuggets. I can't wait to see how it pans out. I'm pretty sure DeMar isn't sweating anything over the money. DeMar DeRozan has made over $300 million in his career, so he don't care about signing no veteran minimum contract. He already made his bread. So I feel like the whole situation is just a great situation for DeMar to be in, a great situation for the Nuggets to pivot to. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, man. Honestly, so we'll see what happens when the season starts. And I wish DeMar DeRozan the best in his new situation, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this whole situation in the comments below, and I'll holler at y'all next time, man. Your boy Chill is out, man. Peace.